Hello, welcome to Motor Week, and on today's programme, Ginny Buckley, for a change, decides to try being frugal. She checks out whether the new Daewoo Tacuma has got what it takes to measure up as an alternative to the mini MPVs. Ken Gibson, meanwhile, takes the new Volvo Cross Country and Audi All-Road very much at their word and sees how they measure up off-road compared to how they fare on-road. But first, a bit of contrast, because this is the newly revised Nissan Patrol GR, and it is massive. So from a huge off-roader, I'm going to swap 10-ton Tessie for a small Mercedes in the rather lovely shape of the newly revised Mercedes SLK. It would take a hard-hearted soul, or maybe a wig wearer, not to fall in love with the idea of a convertible car once the summer sun arrives. Let's face it, even in this drizzly country, we love our soft tops. Yes, excuse me, hello? In fact, you only have to change 2 letters to get from soft tops to soft spots. Quite an interesting point, I thought, when it comes to the beloved little... Yes, hello? Excuse me? If there's one thing we like probably as much, if not more than a car with a soft top, it's a car with a prestige badge. So why not try and combine the two? Which this, as you've noticed, does, yes, very well indeed. It's the Mercedes SLK, but it's the entry-level 200 compressor, and yes, all right, we'll drive it. The only thing I can't promise is the sun. It passes the first test with flying colours. Yes, it does look good. From the back, it could be pretty much any standard Mercedes saloon until you see it with the top down. From the front, it's perky but purposeful, and those deep slab sides give it a very distinctive image. But is it any good to drive? So what do you get in £26,000 worth of mini Merc? Well, a 2-litre compressor engine, which I'm told puts out 163 brake horsepower, but if I'm honest, it really doesn't feel like it. Round town, okay, get out on country roads and it's not exactly exciting. It all goes through a 6-speed gearbox, which is not very nice at all. Gripes aside, no doubt about it, it does definitely draw on the good looks of its bigger relative, the SL drop top. Mind you, one worry is if you buy a car to look good with its prestige badge and glamorous image, then when you're driving around town, you want to do so smoothly. The problem here is we've got a rather annoying 2-position, very spongy clutch and a very numb-feeling throttle, which means when we pull away, well, it goes like this. Hang on to your coffee cup. In actual fact, I've been making a bit of a gaffe, a horribly embarrassing blunder by referring to the little SLK as a soft top, because technically speaking, well, it isn't. And if you haven't already seen the incredibly clever roof mechanism on the SLK, then you're about to. And believe me, if you've got any recollections of old convertibles like little Spitfires and Midgets where you spent half an hour breaking your fingernails off on annoying little press studs, none of that's involved. And the end result, when the hood is up, well, it doesn't look like a hood, not like some soft tops where it looks a bit weak. In the case of this, it looks great and it's very cosy. The interior has been given the usual Roadster treatment, which means it's stylish and not overburdened with buttons and gizmos. And in this case, it's red and black. But that rather depends upon the spec and trim level that you choose. Certainly, it's a bit of a tart boudoir. Not long ago, in the course of this awful job, I was called upon to test a Mercedes S-Class, their flagship car. Now that is a Mercedes. It's about 120 feet long, it costs millions of pounds, and it'll last for thousands of years. The steering wheel was so big I could barely get both arms across it. That's what I expect in a Merc. To say it's not a Mercedes, well, that's a little bit harsh, because it is, it says so on the front. To say it's not a sports car, well, that's different. Because certainly if you want a taut, finely tuned little racing car for the real driving enthusiast, you'll be looking elsewhere. If, though, you have a hankering for a miniature SL, a touch of Hollywood glamour but scaled down, then this could well be it. And after all, we all love a touch of glamour, and we all love a convertible.
You know, car manufacturers are just like kids. If there's a new toy out, then they all want to have one. And the latest must-have is the compact MPV.
And Daewoo don't want to be left out, which is why they've launched their 7th new model since they arrived in the UK 5 years ago. It is, of course, a mini MPV, and it's called the Tacuma.
It's taken 3 years to transform the Tacuma from concept to reality, and Daewoo have had help from some of the top names in the industry. Pininfarina and Ital Design have added a touch of Italian flair to the styling, and Porsche have been brought in to work on the handling.
Now, don't get too excited at the mention of Porsche, because let's face it, you're never going to buy either a Daewoo or a mini MPV because of its performance. And with that in mind, the Tacuma comes with 2 very sensible engine options. A brand new 1.8 entry-level engine, and this, the 2-litre CDX, which you can also find in the Nubira and the Laganza. Now, it doesn't exactly pack a punch, I've got to say. It produces just 119 brake horsepower, has a top speed of 112 miles per hour, and 0 to 60, well, it just seems to take absolutely ages. And this is with just me in the car, so you can imagine what it's like when it's fully loaded with a family and all the paraphernalia they carry with them. Well, it's bound to slow the proceedings down quite a lot. Next up is practicality, and here the Tacuma scores top marks. You get plenty of room for all 5 passengers, and there's a very flexible interior.
And you can't complain about the price. The 1.8 costs £12,495 on the road, and this 2-litre CDX is £13,495. And for that you get good levels of equipment, plus Daewoo's warranty and free servicing package, and the option of a free advanced driver training course to help you live up to the challenge of driving a Daewoo. Now, the only point left to consider is, will the Tacuma make the other mums green with envy? Well, I'm afraid that distinctive grille on the front gives the game away that it's a Daewoo, and you can name drop Porsche and Pininfarina all you want, but it doesn't have their badges on the back. So no, you're not going to get next door's kids spurning their mum's Mercedes for your Daewoo. So you'll just have to congratulate yourself on your sensible buy and treat yourself to a nice holiday with all the money you've saved.
After the break, do you really have to go over the top if you want to go off-road? Ken Gibson finds out when he drives the new Audi All-Road and Volvo Cross Country Hybrid Estates.
Serious off-roading demands a serious machine, something like the tried and trusted Land Rover. But there are 2 new kids on the block, because Volvo and Audi have come up with 2 estate cars they say can deliver everything a normal 4x4 can. They say these estates will take you to the parts that other estates can only dream about. Both cars are based loosely on current estate versions, the Volvo on the new V70 and the Audi on the A6 Avant. But as you can see, they both get a serious boost of motoring steroids to give them a rugged edge that sets them apart. In fact, they look rather like estate cars on stilts. Both the cars pass the on-the-road test with flying colours. They're handled just like executive saloons, and inside they're a class act. The Audi even gets its own mini TV set and navigation system, and the Volvo boasts a cruise control and an immaculate music system. But the makers claim rather boldly that what sets them apart is their ability to go where previously only 4x4s dare go. So we've decided to put them to the ultimate test and we brought them here to Eastnor Castle, where Land Rover put their famous vehicles through their paces. It's off-road's answer to hell. Wouldn't want to be doing this in the family estate car. This is like swimming in the deep end at the swimming pool, and I never did like the deep end of the swimming pool. The Audi scores heavily with its greater ground clearance, thanks to its unique 4-level air suspension. And its proven Quattro 4-wheel drive system conquered everything, bar the swamp. Although in fairness, it did get out, eventually, but with an embarrassing leak. The Audi also gets the option of a low-ratio transmission gearbox for the very sticky situations. The ride in the Volvo was the smoothest of the two. It really is incredibly comfortable, even going through this jungle. But the Volvo did suffer through lack of ground clearance, which led to some uncomfortable scrapes en route. Yeah, it clearly has problems. That doesn't sound great. The cost of having the best of all worlds does not come cheap. Both these machines are the other side of £30,000, around £2,000 more than you'd pay for a standard estate. Well, I think it's certainly safe to say that I've taken these two very, very civilised estate cars to an off-road hell they're never likely to experience in whoever buys them. But I still can't figure what the point of them is. If you want an estate, you buy it to load lug. You don't buy it to be a 4x4. That said, they're good. Actually, they're surprisingly good. But not this good.
In the past, Seat had, well, they had some cars, but that was it. Absolutely nothing to write home about, apart from bad build quality. But over the past few years, we have seen a major change in what was once a small brand. These days, Seat have no problem in trying something different, and with launching this, the new Toledo, into a market with rival cars such as BMW and Alfa Romeo, you could say that they've been rather daring. In fact, very daring indeed. Seat see themselves as the sporty ones of the VW family. They've taken a look at Alfa Romeo and said, we can do that, we can have Spanish flair, we too can make sexy cars, and for a lot less money. You can tell right away that the interior has come straight from the Volkswagen workshop. It's laid out and put together very well. However, the dials are a little bit fussy, but you'll soon forgive it. Now, things that come as standard, well, there is a list as long as your arm, and no presenter can remember them, so I've got myself a list. So these are a few that come as standard on the V5. We've got colour-coded bumpers, tinted glass, 16-inch alloy wheels, front electric windows, rear electric windows, CD auto changer in the glove box. We've got a rear anti-sun curtain, pollen filter, driver's airbag, passenger airbag, side airbag. Remote opening of petrol flat, that's a good one. Boot light, cruise control. We've got height and depth adjustable steering wheel. On the road, you may not think this has the same presence as the Alfa 156, but it does turn heads and it's a superb drive. This is the 2.3 V5, and what a fantastic torquey engine it is. It'll get you from 0 to 62 miles an hour in just over 9 seconds. Let this baby loose on a nice windy road and you'll feel like you're reliving your youth in that little hot hatch that you never had. is a car that wants to be driven. You can push it hard in every gear and hear the growl of the V5 engine. The suspension is firm and sporty, which makes for excellent handling. All of Seat's cars have been through a complete change thanks to a good partnership with VW. The Ibiza is hotter than it's ever been, and their latest edition, the Leon, has a four-wheel drive system on top of the range models. So it looks like they stand a good chance of outgrowing their owners. At just under 20 grand, this really is great value for money. And one thing's for certain, the Toledo driver will walk away with a smile that's as wide as the badge on the front grille.
If MPVs had been around back in the 60s, then Cliff Richard and his cheesy mates could have ditched the double-decker in favour of something a little more practical for their summer holiday. Nowadays, of course, their choice would be endless, and this is the latest to join the herd or flock of MPVs. It's the all-new Toyota Previa, and it arrives just about in time because the old one was, well, past it. What it looks like from the outside is important, sure, but not that important. It's an MPV. If you want to go posing down the high street, any MPV comes a long way down your list. Somewhere after Nissan Micra and Peruda Nipper, I suspect. No, what matters here is the inside. So what do we get up here at the pointy end? It's quite a comfortable driving position. You know it's not a car. It does feel quite high up, but everything is well spaced out. The dashboard looks good. It's got the same bulbous bit in the middle, perhaps carried over from the old one. But other than that, very modern, very striking and sensibly laid out. And best of all, we've got loads of places to put all those bits of kit that you accumulate on a long journey. There are storage pockets everywhere. But even this isn't where the real action is. No, the real place to be in any MPV is in the back. Cheers, boss. It's actually not a bad place to be in here at all, whereas the old Previa felt pretty kind of cramped and claustrophobic. It feels pretty spacious in here. It's available with either 7 or 8 seats. In 8-seat configuration, you get 2 bench seats. In 7-seater, you get individuals, so they're all completely adjustable all over the place. And unusually for MPVs, there's quite a decent boot out the back as well, which is good news for longer trips with loads of people. All in all, not a bad place to be at all, which is good news. And there's another trick up its sleeve as well. Now, don't go without me, will you? Yeah, whatever. Sliding doors. They may not be top of your wish list when considering any vehicle, but this is an MPV, so things are different. Imagine a car park situation, not much room between you and the vehicle next to you. You've got to swing open a really great big heavy door, take out the car next to you, not much space to get in and out. Sliding door opens this way, nice big aperture to get in and out, no problem. Things like that matter with MPVs. They're lifestyle vehicles. It's about living with them. Oh no, hang on, no, wrong. No, I need to be in there, because I'm somewhere in wherever I am. Predictable, but still annoying. You can see echoes of the previous model's smooth shape, but it's been given edges and curves to bring it into the new millennium. There is maybe something of a sleeker version of the Mercedes van-based MPV somewhere in there. Now let's just keep in mind, this is an MPV. It has more in common with a van than with a hot hatch, so we're not expecting sparkling performance. But the Previa does handle itself pretty well. The body control is fantastic. There's barely any roll through the faster corners. Power at the moment comes courtesy of, well, a choice. You can have either the 2.4 litre VVTi engine, petrol, or the 2.4 litre VVTi petrol engine. That's it. You've got no choice. And it's not a bad unit. It feels like a diesel, to be honest. Very torquey, lots of low down power. So minimum effort required in moving either through town or cruising. There will, however, soon be another choice of one of these new all-singing, all-dancing common rail direct injection diesel engine, which I guess they've got to have because everybody else has got one. Despite the surprisingly good handling, that engine is ultimately what lets it down. There is enough torque at the bottom end, but you do find yourself waiting for something, anything to happen as the revs rise, and it simply doesn't. On paper, the figures aren't too bad. Maximum speed 115 miles an hour, 0 to 60 dash in about 10.9 seconds. But in real life, it does disappoint. But it's not all bad news. The Previa does claw back a bucket load of points for the quality of the ride, which is excellent. Velvet smooth over even the bumpiest of roads, and extremely quiet. With the arrival of the new breed of mini MPVs, not many people really need expensive full-size MPVs like this class. But if you have or are planning a larger family, or maybe you just have so many friends you have to have it for parties, then the Previa, with its quite good looks from the outside, torquey engine, newly revised interior, has got to be worth considering. Heidi, I'm home! Amongst the offerings on next week's show, I get a touch of glamour for a change when I put the hood down on the Saab 9.3 convertible.